due to bad weather on Thursday. So I do apologise for the delay in getting this launch underway. But thank you so much for joining me tonight. We've got a range of students from all different campuses tonight, I believe. So look, the purpose of this evening is to tell you a little bit about the opportunity for you to travel with CQU University to Nepal in November this year. So I'll run through the details of the placement and tell you a little bit about who Antipodeans are as a company. You're more than welcome to ask questions as we go along. You'll see there's a question and answer box where you're able to type in questions as we go along. If you're having trouble hearing me now, you're more than welcome to let me know, or perhaps you can, for those that are there, you can let me know if you can hear me. If I'm not able to answer the question on the go, I will also be emailing you first thing tomorrow morning, so I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you might have by email as well. Alrighty, so we might kick things off. Okay, so first and foremost, who are Antipodeans Abroad? So Antipodeans Abroad are an Australian-owned and run independent educational travel company. Now, we started about 16 years ago. It was started by Colin Carpenter, and it started as a school-based expedition company, so sending groups of school students from about year 10 up until year 12 away on leadership expeditions to the developing world. This stemmed from Colin's experience teaching at the King's School, Parramatta. He taught there for 23 years and saw, I suppose, that there was a fantastic opportunity to take students on these, I guess, unique travel experiences. And so from there stemmed our Gap Break program, which is tailored towards students between, I guess, year 12 and starting university. And we've now since branched out into the Uni Break program, which is where the CQU Nepal trip stems from. So we have a head office here in Sydney, which is where I am right now. And we also have an operations hub in Perth as well. So our role here at Antipodeans is to liaise directly with the university and work out what the requirements are for student placements. So what we want is to ensure that not only students are getting the most out of these placements as an educational experience, but also the communities, the small communities where you're going to be working as well. So we work with the groups of students to prepare you before you depart. So you'll be working with Catherine Kirk, who's our Uni Break operations manager. So once we have confirmed the CQU team, Catherine will be there to send out your sign-up packs, organise your training workshops before you go. Your first team meeting, I imagine, will be organised and probably start within the next 4 weeks. And she'll be there as a point of reference in terms of any questions that you have in the lead up to your trip. Both Catherine and myself have travelled extensively in the developing world and also volunteered in the extensively in the developing world. So we're certainly here to prepare you as best we can for this exciting trip. We also work really closely with what we refer to as our in-country partners. So you'll meet our in-country partners in Pokhara in Nepal, and it's their role to coordinate these community projects and also coordinate the trip logistics. So often they are local to the area. They know the communities very well. They have the contacts in the hospitals and in the rural villages. So it's their role to ensure that the university requirements are being met, but also, as I mentioned, that we're meeting the needs of the community itself as well. Now, Antipodeans Abroad are also on 24-hour support and backup whilst you're in country. So not only for you guys on the ground, but also for your next of kin. So, you know, mum and dad or your partners will know that whilst in country, there are 5 people at Antipodeans based in Sydney and Perth who are on backup to deal with any sort of emergencies or contact, individual members of the group if need be. Okay, so a little bit about where you're going to be going and what you're going to be doing. So the placement itself, it's 3 weeks professional experience based in Pokhara. So CQU University, the placement itself, I guess, has evolved over the last 3 years, and the relationships certainly with CQU and the local hospitals and universities have strengthened in that time. Last year, we had an incredibly successful placement working at 2 new hospitals, both Fishtail and Gandaki hospitals. Now, both these hospitals are, I guess, medium-sized city hospitals and certainly give students quite a grassroots learning and hands-on learning experience. So what you'll be doing at the hospitals will be rotating in small groups, shadowing doctors and nurses on their ward rounds, and I guess being part of their question and answer time in observation of patients and their situations. I have no doubt that you're going to see many patients there that will present with illnesses and diseases that are far removed from, I guess, what you might see here in Australia on your clinical rounds. So you'll spend the mornings working at either Gandaki or Fishtail Hospital. You'll then also go and you'll spend a few afternoons a week working at Pokhara University and doing, I guess, a skills exchange with Nepalese student peers. So the idea about this is we want you guys to actively learn about, I guess, topics such as maternity in Nepal and brain scanning and leprosy. You'll also have a chance to visit the Green Pastures Leprosy Hospital and potentially the tuberculosis clinic as well whilst you're there. Another opportunity that you'll have whilst in Pokhara is to conduct mobile health clinics in remote communities. So the idea behind this is that you guys will be providing primary health care to areas that are certainly quite remote and don't have regular access to any sort of medical facilities. So these outreach programs are organised in conjunction with the Lions Club of Nepal. So the Lions Club itself certainly has strong links with these remote communities, and we've been working with them for many, many years now. So the Lions Club will provide advice about what sorts of things the villages are going to need, what sort of facilities will be needed, and they'll also coordinate the donation of resources that will come from you guys as a group, which is fantastic. Another opportunity will be for you guys to visit a Galau village. So it's a weekend trip up into a remote village, and you'll have a chance to conduct health education workshops within the community itself, and also get to do an overnight stay with a local Nepali family. So it's a fantastic opportunity for you to immerse yourself in the Nepali culture and live like the locals do for at least one night. So yeah, just a really unique way to travel and something I would highly, highly recommend. So for those of you that don't know, Pokhara itself is west of the capital, Kathmandu. It's Nepal's second largest city. And it's a real backpacker sort of touristy hub, and rightly so. It has absolutely breathtaking scenery, from the snowy peaks of the Annapurnas to, the colourful prayer flags and food markets. It is an absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous city, and I highly recommend it. It's somewhere that I absolutely loved visiting and can't wait to go back. I guess, look, the idea behind these group nursing placements is to provide CQU nursing students with a unique international experience, certainly in a challenging setting. When I was at university, I had an opportunity to travel with Antipodeans as well. I travelled as an individual student, so independently of my university, and I went to Kenya and did a generalist volunteering placement, and I can hands down say it was the best decision I had ever made. These placements are such a unique opportunity for students, and I think it opens so many doors for me. I think the fact that you guys are able to participate in these projects and have them reflect your studies as well, I think is certainly a fantastic opportunity and something I would highly recommend. So the dates for this placement, it will commence on the 14th of November and will run through till the 7th of December this year. Alrighty, so how does it all work? So, as mentioned, Antipodeans works with local in-country partners. So it's our in-country partners' role to have contact with these grassroots projects and communities. They are the ones that have contacts with the hospital authorities in order to set up these projects. What we want to ensure is that these projects are safe and also responsible. So it's their role to liaise directly with Antipodeans abroad during the pre-departure and as well as during the placement. So, before you guys have even set foot in Nepal, there's been a lot of work that's gone into developing the itinerary for this year and ensuring that both the students and community are going to get the most out of the placement. So it's also their role to be on 24-hour support and backup. So you'll see them quite a bit whilst in country. You'll see there that photo up on the top left hand that is Sering or Calden, depending on the day. I'm never sure which one's his first name. But he is Sonam's son. So Sonam is in that photo on the bottom left with the glasses there. Now Sonam is a Tibetan refugee. He's been living in Nepal now for over 60 years, and we've been working with Sonam for nearly 16 years now. So you'll work quite closely with Sonam and with Calden whilst in country. They'll be there to pick you up at the airport and settle you into your accommodation and, introduce you to your projects and just be there to ensure that you guys are safe and happy and that everything's running smoothly. Okay, so the placement, as I mentioned, is in the beautiful Pokhara. So it's the foothills of the Annapurnas. So for anybody that's never travelled to Nepal before, I think this is the perfect place to start. If you're lucky and if you have time on the weekends, I would highly recommend doing a short trek. There's lots of short sort of day or weekend treks you can do in Nepal. Even for those who don't necessarily see themselves as big trekkers, it's, I think, a phenomenal experience and would certainly recommend it. Whilst you're over there, you guys will be living in a family-run guest house. So it's going to be like the guest house itself is quite basic, but it's clean and comfortable. I've stayed there myself, and I believe CQU groups have stayed there over the last 3 years, and it certainly will have everything that you need whilst in country. And you'll be working in the hospitals and communities both in and around the Pokhara region. Okay, so this is just a bit of a snapshot of, I guess, the details of the trip. So we've said here, look, trip grade is easy to moderate. We say that, I think, because, you'll be staying in guest house accommodation. So you'll have access to, Western-style toilets and showers. And, if you're interested in terms of, different types of breakfasts and whatnot, the restaurant can certainly cater for dietary requirements. The dates, as I've said, are from the 14th of November until the 7th of December 2012. Now, you will all depart from Brisbane and you will return from Kathmandu. So whilst in Kathmandu, you'll get a bus down to Pokhara, which is a beautiful way for you to see the countryside. So in terms of group numbers, we're looking at taking 18 students, and it's at a cost of $4,850. So I'll go into the inclusions in a bit about what that cost involves. So here we go. So this is a photo from potentially last year. This is looks like a prenatal class teaching women about. I'm not sure. It looks like it's a prenatal class. I'm hoping so. Okay, so the inclusions in that 4850 are your international flights and taxes exiting Brisbane. It includes all your accommodation. It includes most of your meals. It includes your airport transfers, both to and from the airport. It will include your Pokhara orientation. It's going to include your in-country support whilst there. It will include some equipment and resources for the health camps that you're going to be involved in, and it certainly includes the Chitwan National Park visit, which is absolutely amazing. And it will include your pre-departure preparation and support, as well as a 24-hour support from both Australia and from Nepal. Okay, so exclusions. What it doesn't include is your domestic flight to Brisbane. So for those needing to come from, Cairns or Rocky, you'll need to organise a domestic flight down to Brisbane. It doesn't include your visa. Visas from memory for Nepal are, I think, roughly $60 to $70. It doesn't include your vaccinations. So we can certainly put you in contact with the TMVC, which is the Travel and Medical Vaccination Clinic. However, I imagine as nursing students, a lot of you will have already had some vaccinations that are required for Nepal. It doesn't include your travel insurance. Some meals are not included. It doesn't include some weekend activities. So if you're wanting to go off, on an organised trek, or you're wanting to go off like Emily, who's down there on the bottom right, and do some paragliding, doesn't include those sorts of things. And it doesn't include some extra resources and some equipment for the health camps. Okay, so in terms of accommodation and meals, this is a picture on the top left there. That's a typical sort of room you'll find in the guest house. So it's twin share, so you're going to share with at least one other student. The homestay accommodation when you're in the Galau village will be quite basic, but it will be clean and comfortable. You'll have your own room that you'll share with another student. You might get the chance to use a drop toilet and bucket shower for the night, but I guess that's all part of the cultural immersion. Whilst there, you're going to eat lots of traditional Nepali food. So that essentially includes a lot of dal bhat. So they eat dal bhat, basically breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which is essentially lentils, rice, and vegetables. But as I've said, we certainly are able to cater for dietary requirements. I know the little guest house where you stay can, organise American breakfast, with toast and eggs and whatnot, if that's what you'd prefer. But within Pokhara itself, Pokhara is, a gorgeous little touristy backpacker town. So there's lots of variety for food in Pokhara. On the weekend, you might choose to go out as a group and, go and get a meal in town and have a couple of drinks. So there's certainly plenty of opportunity to do those sorts of things. Alrighty. So in terms of highlights, I would say definitely the fact that you get to gain an insight into healthcare in these resource poor hospitals. I certainly I got to visit Fishtower Hospital when I was there last year. I don't have a medical background myself, but I was blown away with the lack of resources that are there. You're looking at sort of a 100 bed hospital at the time. I think that they're trying to extend the hospital. It might be finished by the time you're there to have 200 beds. And they are severely lacking in funding and resources. So I think it's just such a fantastic opportunity for nursing students like yourself. The Galau homestay, I certainly think would be a highlight for students. As I said, it's the best way to immerse yourself in the culture and really get to know, the beautiful Nepal culture. The Nepali people are so welcoming. They're absolutely lovely. They're going to welcome you into their families for that weekend as if you're their long lost, cousin or sister or brother. Look, Pokhara itself, certainly I think will be a highlight for you. It's absolutely stunning. I can't say much more about it. It's very different to, the hustling and bustling capital, which is Kathmandu. But there's so much to do and see on the weekends. You guys will have your visit to Chitwan National Park, which I understand to be absolutely phenomenal. You can go and see, tigers and rhinos and elephants and all sorts of things. And look, I think the fact that you get to travel as a group, The fact that you get to travel with fellow CQU students. I know some of you might not know each other before you sign up for the group, but the sorts of experiences that you're going to have on these placements are going to be so unique. I know when I came home from my uni break in Kenya, I was so excited and so full of energy, and wanting to talk to my family and friends about it, and they certainly were excited and happy for me, but it's really difficult to share these sort of experiences with people that haven't been there. That it's really difficult, I guess, for them to imagine what you've seen and what you've been through. So I think the fact that you're able to travel on these sorts of placements with a group of CQU students is amazing, and I have no doubt you'll make lifelong friends from the trip. So here we have a picture of Chitwan National Park. And we got these are pictures here of the group, I think last year on the left there. And we've got down there on the bottom right, that's a picture of from inside of Fishtail Hospital. So here we go. This is a group, I think, either from last year or 2010, and these are the supplies that were being donated to the old, I think it was the Old People's Village. Okay, so look, in terms of grants and fundraising, certainly I think I would encourage you to inquire through Maud Chapman about grant information, travel grant information from CQU. There may be potential for some sort of travel grant. We would strongly encourage students as a group to fundraise for the trip. So not only to help with placement costs individually, but also for the health camp supplies. When you do sign up, we'll be giving you, a fundraising guide. We'll give you certainly lots of information. But we'd encourage you to contact friends and family, within your workplace, whether it be at school or uni, and get involved, organize raffles, sausage sizzles, movie nights, cake sales, auctions. I mean, there's heaps of options for you there. It certainly can be done. So, I mean, we encourage you to get together pretty soon after the group is formed in the next week or so, and start brainstorming about fundraising ideas for the group. Alrighty, so what's the next step? The next step is going to be for you guys to read the information brief or the launch brief that I'm going to send you. So this is going to go through in detail, I guess, the project itself, a bit about who we are. We'll go through, inclusions and exclusions and costs and all that sort of thing. I realize that time is probably slipping away from us. And so we need to get things moving fairly quickly. I'll certainly send you out the launch brief as soon as possible. I believe it might already be available on your Moodle site. What we're going to need next from you guys is an expression of interest by email to Maud Chapman. So that I believe will need to be through by Friday this week, so Friday the 20th of July. Now, I realize that there are some students who have already sent through expressions of interest some weeks ago now. If you can resend them through again, that would be fantastic, just so we have a confirmed interest from you. Once we have all expressions of interest, you'll be contacted by us here at Antipodeans, and we'll send you off the booking form. Now, that booking form will need to be back to us by Friday, the 27th of July. So you'll need to send off with that your $500 deposit, and that deposit is going to secure your spot in the group. So as soon as we have confirmed group numbers, we're going to be setting a date for the first team meeting. So that will be with Catherine, as I said. So Catherine's our uni break operations manager, and Catherine will come up and organise your first team meeting. So it'll be a fantastic opportunity for you guys to get together. Hopefully in the one campus. It might mean that we need to go to a couple of different campuses and potentially do an online version like we're doing now as well. But it's a great chance for you guys to, meet the other students in your group and start planning for your trip. Alrighty, so guys, here are the contact details. That's my email there, and Maud's obviously as well. I encourage you guys to send through any questions that you might have. As I said, I'm going to be emailing you in the morning anyway, but I certainly would encourage you to ask any sorts of questions, whether it be of myself or Maud. We're more than happy to answer them for you, and certainly would encourage you to become involved in this placement. So now I'm just having a look. I'm going to stay online for probably the next 5 or so minutes, and I'll attempt to answer these questions that have come through. But in the meantime, you're more than welcome to stay back and ask any questions here through the question box. For those of you that will be listening to the recording, please feel free to email me. More than happy to answer. But I really thank you guys so much for logging in tonight. I really hope this has, I guess, whet your appetite, and yeah, I hope you're able to join the group for 2012. So thanks, guys. Hope to hear from you soon.